The rain had just stopped, leaving behind that raw scent of wet asphalt and dust mixing in the air. The streets of the small town still glistened beneath the gray light of dusk. A faint whimpering echoed from an alleyway near an old bakery, the kind of sound that makes you stop, even if you don't want to. It was the kind of silence that carried pain. And then came a voice, small, trembling, but piercing enough to slice through the hum of the town. "He hit my grandma." A little boy stood at the corner, his small fists clenched, eyes swollen red with tears. His clothes were dirty, his knees scraped, and beside him an old woman lay slumped against the cold wall, a bruise blooming across her wrinkled cheek. At that moment, the low rumble of engines rolled closer. 3 black motorcycles slowed down, their headlights cutting through the mist. The men on them were rough-looking, tattooed, dressed in worn leather jackets, the kind people usually cross the street to avoid. But not this time. They stopped. One of them, a tall man with a scar along his jaw and steel-gray eyes, killed the engine first. His name was Ryder, the leader of a local biker group called the Iron Faith. He swung his leg off the bike and crouched beside the old woman, gently brushing her silver hair away from her face. "What happened here, kid?" he asked in a low, controlled voice. The boy sniffed, his words trembling. "The man in that house, he's the landlord. Grandma couldn't pay rent this month, so he pushed her. He slapped her." Ryder's jaw tightened. His eyes lifted toward the house the boy pointed at, a peeling, 2-story building with the lights still on upstairs. Behind one of those curtains, someone was watching. Speech balloon CTA1. Before we go deeper into this powerful story, if this already has your heart racing or breaking, please like this video, drop a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness for more stories that remind us of the strength and goodness still left in this world. Ryder stood up slowly, rain still dripping from his hair. "What's your name, little man?" "Tommy," the boy said. "And your grandma?" "Grace." Ryder nodded and turned toward his crew. There was Lex, his brother-in-arms, a mountain of muscle with a gentle heart, and Mason, the youngest, quiet but with fire in his eyes. "Lex," Ryder said calmly, "call the medic we know, the volunteer one. Mason, get the first aid kit." The boy watched in silence as these 3 men, who looked like they belonged on a wanted poster, knelt beside his injured grandmother with the gentleness of saints. Lex held Grace's hand while Mason dabbed her wound carefully with antiseptic. She stirred, groaning softly, and her eyes fluttered open. "Tommy, are you okay?" "I'm okay, Grandma," the boy whispered. "They're helping us." Grace's gaze moved to Ryder. There was fear at first, but then she saw the truth in his eyes. Not anger, not recklessness. Just a deep, old kind of pain, the kind carried by men who have seen too much cruelty in life. Inside the house, a curtain fluttered. The landlord, Mr. Harland, peeked nervously outside. His gut twisted when he saw the bikers parked outside his door, their jackets gleaming in the streetlight. He tried to shut off the lights, but it was too late. Ryder had already started walking toward his porch. The air was heavy. The sound of boots on wet concrete echoed like thunder. Harland's voice shook as he opened the door. Now wait a minute, I didn't do anything wrong. That woman owes." Ryder didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. "You hit her." I just pushed her. She was yelling at me. I didn't mean." Ryder's hand slammed against the wooden doorframe, making Harland jump. "She's 75 years old. You don't put your hands on people like that. You got me." The landlord swallowed hard, his lips trembling. "You can't threaten me. I'll call the police." Ryder stepped closer, his voice a low growl. "Do it. And when they come, I'll tell them what happened with witnesses. You think they'll believe a man who beats a grandma over rent?" Behind Ryder, Mason quietly recorded everything on his phone, not to intimidate, but to protect the truth. Harland's bravado cracked, his hands shook. "I'll let them stay another month, just go away." Ryder turned slightly, looking back at Tommy, who stood in the street clutching his grandmother's shawl. Then he looked at Harland one last time. You're not letting them stay out of mercy. You're doing it because it's right. Learn the difference. He turned and walked away, his boots splashing through puddles. Later that night, the bikers sat with Grace and Tommy near their small fireplace. Grace made them tea with trembling hands. You didn't have to do that, she said softly. People don't stand up for others anymore, especially not for strangers. Ryder smiled faintly. We're not strangers anymore. Tommy looked up at him with wide eyes. You guys are like superheroes. Ryder chuckled, the sound low and warm. Nah, kid, superheroes wear capes, we wear scars. That line made Grace smile for the first time that night. It was a small smile, but it reached her eyes. Days passed. The story spread quietly through the town. People whispered about the bikers who defended the grandma. For once, the Iron Faith wasn't seen as troublemakers. They were seen as protectors. Mason started organizing food drives. Lex fixed old folks' fences for free. Ryder, he began to visit Grace and Tommy every weekend, helping with groceries, teaching Tommy how to fix his old bicycle. And with every visit, that house, once full of fear, began to feel like a home again. But one afternoon, a letter arrived. Grace's rent was being raised again. Harland was pushing her to move out, trying to avoid legal trouble but still cruel in his greed. Tommy ran to the biker garage in tears. He's doing it again. Ryder didn't say a word. He looked at his brothers, then at the boy. We'll handle it. That evening, every engine in the Iron Faith roared to life. The townsfolk peeked through their windows as 10 bikes rolled slowly down the main street, headlights piercing through the sunset. They didn't come to fight, they came to stand. They parked right outside Harland's house, lined up like guardians. No shouting, no violence, just presence, power and peace. The message was clear, don't hurt them again. Harland watched from behind his curtains, shaking, realizing that fear wasn't power. Compassion was, and that night he backed down for good. A week later, Grace's house was repaired, the rent issue resolved through community support. Local stores chipped in with food, and neighbors, once silent, came to help. The little boy who once cried in an alley now laughed freely, his voice echoing through the street that had once known only indifference. And sometimes, when the rumble of engines passed through town again, Tommy would run to the window, waving with all his heart. Ryder would lift a hand in return, the silent promise of a protector who didn't wear a badge, but carried honor in his soul. Speech balloon CTA 2. If this story touched your heart, remind yourself, there's still kindness out there waiting to be seen. Please like, share, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness so more people can feel the power of compassion through stories like this one. In the end, it wasn't about bikers or bullies. It was about something bigger, how one act of courage can ripple through a whole town, changing the way people see one another. Sometimes kindness doesn't whisper softly. Sometimes it roars down the street on the back of a motorcycle, reminding the world that good people still stand up when others fall down.